There is a book I can certainly recommend, titled Layered Reality by Valo Ray, published August 2020, which features questions and answers between the author and the spirit teacher Zach, channeled by Janet Trelaw, during private consultations. This contains plenty of what I would consider highly advanced information and explanations. In places it is also relevant to what is currently happening on Earth and to the new age that is unfolding. From this book I have borrowed some passages and put these together in Chapter 3, as pointers to better, interesting times to come. From various pages, these are some of what Zach communicated. He said,
"The shift that some people talk about is moving to a phase on Earth which gives rise to an opening that allows an expansion of the mind. The mind is a vehicle here on Earth, which is one of the reasons why souls choose so many of the experiences on Earth. There is the physicality around it, which is the brain that allows the optimal level of evolution that can happen through the gathering and the understanding of data. Unlike a computer, which only takes the data and makes calculations from it, a human mind does much more than just calculations but allows the expansion to the next level. By the gathering of experience, which the source does not already know, we expand our consciousness. The way to do it is not through old wisdom and knowledge, but through experience. Experience that comes from emotions and thoughts. This idea is quite central throughout this part of the universe. This little planet that seems to be hurting itself, killing itself, and, at the same time, a huge amount of love and good happen. What we would see, and why we help so much, is that it can be a pretty difficult place to be. The knowledge, the data, that come after this are quite immense, which allows for a vast progression to be happening on many layers. Humans, or shall we say the souls in human form, affect everything else. Imagine the collective consciousness of the universe. If one has an experience, everyone benefits from it. People always talk about the Garden of Eden, and there is where the earth is going. I do not want to press the bubble, because it is not. It is moving more towards survival and more of a place of comfort. What I mean by this is that we are moving out of competitiveness into coherence, togetherness with one another. It is not going to take a week, a month, a year. It is going to take a few lifetimes. However, the psychology of humanity has changed. They do not listen to one man, or one woman anymore. So we need to work differently. One of the ways is via direct communications, just like what I am having with you. Another way is to increase the frequency of the earth. We are shifting the energy within your cosmos in order to allow more influences, energetic cosmic influences, to come into the earth. This is why so many people are channeling these things from other star systems and so on. What it is doing is harnessing the energy into the earth so the earth itself can be inspiring, and thereby lifting people's energies, and then we wait. It is a bit like putting a pot of water onto a stove, putting the heat on, and watch what happens. What we are doing is that we are influencing energy systems, awakening your energy system, so that you can be more aware of the love, the guidance that is coming from the nucleus of the soul, more closely connected. We are putting the fire underneath. The idea behind it is that people will take note because their souls are also in charge, and so they will start making changes. Now, what happens is that it would always start with a minority of people first and move to the majority. It is true that there are people on this planet who not only have nothing, they have minus nothing. These are the souls. We know that with the energy impression, that this is a bit like a fallout, what is happening to the earth, regarding the weather patterns and so forth. But we are holding on tightly, let us say, a ship in a storm. We hold on tightly to anoint the knowledge of what humanity is capable of. Unfortunately, it will not be immediately. This has actually started, to give you a date, around 1870s in very subtle ways. It came into human consciousness far more in the 30s, 40s, 50s, etc., all the way into the 60s and 70s. It is becoming on people's lips to talk of. But we actually know that the needle is turning towards annihilation in the 1870s. Particularly in the awareness of the increase in the industries, and what was happening, and we could see what would be happening to the environment, and the greed that would come from it. Truly, the war that is happening on earth is between the heart and the head. Do we listen to our head or do we listen to our heart? This is what it all boils down to. The more that we listen to our heart than our head, the more we will move towards peace and coherence on this earth. Head has its place, but it is not the place to make big decisions because the heart is connected to everything else. It will be sending signals, even if they are not conscious signals, of the best for the whole rather than for the one. The mind makes the decision for what is right for the one, not for the whole. What we have done is that we have people who are being born relatively recently, about 20 to 40 years ago, whose jobs, let us say, are not so much on an individual path, but are to infiltrate the darkest places. So we have those in the large industrial corporations that, should we say, do everything with their head. We have them in all of these. We have them in politics. We have them in all sorts of places. During the past 2 to 5 years, we realize that we need to move quicker. There are some of those who are from the 26th dimension who have actually manifested and have roles that are not as the president of a company or a country, as we do not want to take it out of the hands of humanity. However, they are influential. They are more the people who stand behind, the secretary, the head of the finances, etc. We are not ignoring those parts which we think are the darkest. They are the ones we are trying to put most light into. Remember that the DNA is changing at this time because we are wanting to be able to give people more freedom within their body. So after 1982, that was the first large influx with bodies being born with updated, let us call it, DNA, and we are seeing more of these in certain parts of China. And there are places like the Scandinavia and others, where there are more of these upgrades, let's call it, in the 90s. There is a revolution in the spirituality side of things that is happening in humanity. There is a level of conditioning of the physical self that is aligned with the vibration of the earth at this time as well to allow more fluidity, more change. One thing I would like to tell you is that in the events of pandemics or natural disasters which take a lot of lives, people may be tempted to think that they are ways for us to rebalance the book. This is not the case. I just want to tell you. It is not that there are too many people living on Earth, and so we need to wipe out some in order to rebalance the population. It is not at all true. We do not do that. When I talk about we, I mean we as souls. Each individual who dies under these circumstances is part of their own exit plan. Now, for you and for those who are living at this particular time on Earth, there is a vast difference in vibration on the Earth, compared to those living in the past on Earth. Through these differences in vibration, it is allowing greater streaming of consciousness to be delivered directly from the higher selves. So, for the future, we are talking about the energies from the Earth's point of view. You have more choices because you are constantly accessing your souls, far more so than the lives that you have lived before in the linear time. It is not so much about the development of the soul, but, of course, it does happen. It is more about the principle of energetic evolution. The period that you are living in now is part of a cycle where there is an advancement of the evolution of the future. This allows a far higher vibration to be through. Thus, Those who are incarnating in this period of the linear time are also part of this higher vibration as well. Even if you want to remain closed, like keeping the sun from entering the room using a curtain, the light would still slip through. The period of time that you are living now, particularly in about 2035 to 2037, everybody would have shifted. Now, of course, there has been a collective consciousness with the desire to change, and this is where all of this is coming from. Also, this change is due to the change in the energy consciousness that is connected to your cuboid of the universe. Note that this energetic change does not happen overnight, and certainly does not come easily. As we know, the dense energy that corresponds to the history of humanity would not be easily let go. People are still holding on to the past, dense energy. Whatever nature does, people would suppress it with their dense energies. Do you know in the garden, where people are using the old-fashioned sieve to filter out small pieces of soil from the larger pieces of stones? The heavier and denser materials will stay on the top, and the finer particles go through. There is a lot of shaking and sieving that need to be done, and this is similar to what is going on at the moment. This period of energetic shift would be met with a lot of resistance due to the presence of old and outdated values, and this sieving can be quite a violent action. This is what humanity is experiencing for some time, and will continue to happen. The difficulty is the conflict involves vast differences in poverty and wealth, power and the lack of power, etc. However, in a way, it is necessary. There are other times, particularly in the future, when people are not so bothered, and the population would go down to 5 billion or so. More comfortable for the earth, more comfortable, but there will be more tranquil times. So, from the human's perspective, that is the time you want to be living in, not the chaos, but souls are interesting beings, ha ha. They always want to learn more, discover more. Yes, yes, yes. So they all want to go for difficult times. An intention can travel beyond the space-time, and so it is not constrained by the restriction of space-time as matter is. It goes to the void, where it has access to everything else. Thus, it can travel from one end of the universe to another end with a blink of an eye. This, in essence, starts to affect time. It is easier to travel through space than it is through time. Time, we have to bend a little in your cuboid of the universe. But due to a recent change that happens upon your Earth, like that which happens in March 2019, people can harness the power to move through time. With time, it is like speeding up, a bit like putting heat, some kind of catalyst, under the kettle. With time, it is about speeding up the molecular structure, say, of a person. When you shift through dimension, speed is important. Because everything is moving, rotating, spinning, the quicker you go, the more you can move into that dimension. Our thoughts and intentions can have the power to not just muse on something, think and dream about something. They can do much more. The way this is done is at the quantum level, where the space-time restriction no longer applies. We do want people to be aware of the invisible world, we do want people to be aware of their soul. There will always be people who are not interested in this, and that is fine. This knowledge is not prescriptive. It is not for everyone. But what we want to see is the tipping point. What we want is enough people at the tipping point that this goes from myth to a commonly accepted fact, and through that, people would then take more responsibility to their lives.